Welcome to part 2 of my Paris workshop, where instead of imagining my French workshop from Melbourne, I'm speaking to you from the beautiful Marais district of Paris as I begin my week-long writer's workshop right in the heart of the city. In this video, I won't be filming a Paris tourist travelogue. Rather, with AI's help, I'll be recreating the kinds of learnings usually offered by expensive international writers' workshops. But I'll be conducting those lessons away from the classroom and in unique open spaces around Paris, walking the streets, visiting buildings and observing how places shape emotion, an important part of the writing process. On my first morning in the Marais, I don't start with writing. Instead, I read early drafts of my memoir while exploring the district itself. This becomes my first lesson. Exploring a new city is exciting because we walk streets we've never seen before. If we over-prepared, researching everything about a place before arriving, it would lose some of its mystery and excitement. It would feel less like an adventure. Writers shouldn't forget that feeling when telling their own stories. How would readers feel if we explained everything instead of allowing them to discover meaning alongside us? As I reread my early draft, I realised I was explaining what I had learned instead of showing how I learned it. Most memoirs fail because they over-explain. When writers tell readers how to interpret an experience, they leave no room for discovery. But suspense depends on revelation. Readers enjoy discovering meaning at the same moment the writer does. So I reread the chapter with one important question in mind. Am I telling instead of showing? The next day, my workshop assignment was to visit two places offering very different perspectives of Sacré-Cœur, learning to see familiar places from entirely different viewpoints. Most developing writers make the mistake of treating place as scenery only, simply background decoration. Strong narrative does something very different. It treats place as a container of withheld truth. In the morning, I approached Sacré-Cœur through Montmartre's steep streets, hidden stairways, and constantly shifting perspectives. Reaching the summit after the climb created emotional pressure and anticipation. Here, pathways curved unexpectedly around cliffs, bridges, and suspended viewpoints, creating something far more theatrical than decorative. Both perspectives offered completely different interpretations of the same landmark. Instead of writing long explanations about the cathedral itself, I focused on movement, where I walked, what drew my attention, and how the city gradually revealed itself from different vantage points. Less explanation, more movement. That shift helped me understand that place is never just scenery. It shapes emotion, creates tension, and quietly influences behaviour. Like a silent antagonist, it adds hidden layers to a scene. The following day, I visited the Palais Garnier, an important location in my memoir. Today's workshop lesson focused on one of storytelling's most useful principles, Belief is revealed under pressure. Memoir writers often hide behind reflection, but true character is revealed through action, particularly action under pressure. So I began asking harder questions about Michel, the central character in my memoir. Where does he confront emotional pressure? Where does he avoid it? What belief about love does he carry? The lesson demonstrated how pressure reveals character far more effectively than explanation. Instead of writing, "I believed in romantic destiny," I questioned the character more deeply. How did you really feel? Then I rewrote the line. I walked past the box we once shared and didn't look up. Yesterday's lesson had already taught me to see the Garnier as more than simply a setting. Its staircases, mirrors, and public spectacle now began pressing against the character's beliefs, almost as if the building itself was observing him. The question was no longer what happened here. It became, what did I believe about myself until this place contradicted it? My final lesson arrived more quietly. After a full day visiting the Musée d'Orsay, drifting along the Seine River at dusk, exploring the hidden rooftop of Galeries Lafayette, and walking through the elevated gardens of the Promenade Plantée. Today's lesson was about discovering my writer's voice. The earlier lessons help create the foundation, but structure alone does not create voice. Voice emerges when a writer stops explaining and begins observing with confidence. Inside the museum, the painters were not simply recording Paris, they were interpreting how Paris felt to them. The Seine reinforced the same idea. Watching the city drift slowly past, I realised that voice develops when writers trust their own way of seeing. The Promenade Plantée deepened the lesson further. A disused railway line transformed into a suspended garden became a perfect metaphor for memoir itself. Old structures reinterpreted into something living and reflective. Voice cannot be forced onto the page. It appears when we trust what we notice. The Marais workshop changed how I approach writing. Not over-explaining, but allowing suspense to develop, showing experience through movement rather than summary, placing characters under pressure so belief is revealed through action, and trusting my own voice to guide readers through the experience. When I do this, the writing moves readers instead of simply explaining events.